He's playing against Dariusz Eiselman, who is playing humans. Dariusz just keeping that scarf close.
It's chilly in Milwaukee.
It is chilly. Yesterday it was brutal walking around downtown. What are we at weather-wise here now? As you see an ancient ziggurat into a champion of the parish. At 36 degrees right now. It's actually colder in Cleveland. Oof, 32 at home. An Inkmoth Nexus into an Ornithopter, into a Memnite, into a Mox Opal, into some sort of busted 2-drop. No. Eric Hawkins are not as explosive as I thought it might be.
This is a matchup I typically like from the human side. They can get on the table about as fast as Affinity. You have some flying, so you aren't totally vulnerable to just getting flown over. And enough interaction, I think, to make the matchup okay.
Freebooter's trigger on the stack. We're going to see a Galvanic Blast take care of that. Hawkins will reveal his hand. He's got a Master of Ethereum, a Glimmer Void, and a Blink Moth Nexus. I actually like this matchup from the Affinity side. It's got more interaction. It has an unbeatable card in Steel Overseer, or close to it.
Yeah.
It's not my favorite matchup.
Steel Overseer is the real deal.
Yeah. We're going to head back over to Eric Hawkins now. He'll play Blink Moth. I think we'll see Master of Ethereum. And we do. Memnite and Ornithopter get a little bit better here. Attack here for 3 total. Zeilman. It's going to fall down to 17. Massive Ethereum is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 for now. Probably going to be much bigger next turn as we head back over to Dariusz. 2-2 champion of the parish, and Ziggurat, unclaimed territory. Let's make it a second unclaimed territory. We'll get confirmation on what he's naming with these unclaimed territories. Likely just to be human. Sometimes it could be illusion, but now it's very clear that it is human given the Mantis Rider that's just been cast. Mantis Rider can clearly attack your champion of the parish.
This is a bold attack.
I will block.
This is a...
Oh boy.
Describe this as a bold attack.
Yeah. Not good for Dariusz Eiselman. Not good. So we head back over to Eric Hawkins.
Well, I believe that will do it.
I have a feeling you are correct, sir. No mutagenic growth in hand for Dariusz Eiselman. Glimmer Void going to come down.
Oh, the upshot here is Hawkins only has an attack with Master of Ethereum without any add-ons here.
It's true. And Inkmoth Nexus.
Yeah, I suppose. You don't mind very much if Dariusz puts a block there, slows down his clock, and frees up future attackers.
It's just trades with...
Oh, sure, yeah. You also have the pump.
Yeah. Let's see if Eric wants to pump here. Better than nothing, I imagine. Eric can do a quick count, see how big Master Ethereum is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5 currently. Counts itself, Inkmoth Nexus, Memnite, Ornithopter, and Mox Opal. And now Blinkmoth Nexus will pump Inkmoth Nexus. And some damage will be dealt on both sides of the ball. A little normal and a little Infectorino. And we pass back over to Dariusz Eiselman, who will draw. He's at 12, 2 Infect. Tough last turn. See if he can have a better one now. Playing unclaimed territory. Here's another Mantis Rider. In the air is a good place to be. He's going to come in here for 6. The follow-up will be a Noble Hierarch. Pass that turn back. I believe the last card in his hand is a Direfleet Daredevil, actually. So Direfleet Daredevil can take that Galvanic Blast and recast it. Here's a Spire of Industry. Eric has another Ornithopter to play.
Big.
Those are 1/3 Ornithopters.
It's been a very modest Affinity draw.
It really has been.
Hawkins still with the biggest thing going on right now.
5/5 Master of Ethereum with the potential to make it larger than that. by activating either Ink Moth Nexus or Blink Moth Nexus. This has the ability to make it into a 7/7 at will. Curious to see if Noble Hierarch's got some interest in jumping in front of that thing.
Yeah, I mean, arguably, you may want to only do an Exalted attack next turn because of the Nexus, but because of the way that Infect damage works, it doesn't preserve the Mana Strider in the long term, so this is a pretty safe block. Chump block, rather. I don't think the Exalted trigger is going to come up the following turn.
Hawkins' goal here is to make this a 2-turn clock, make it so that Master of Ethereum presents lethal next turn, or some combination of Master of Ethereum and artifact creature. So we're going to see him activate Ink Moth Nexus. And we're going to see him activate Blink Moth Nexus.
And just moving him up to the front to help out with the artifact count here. Just keep it clear in public.
Sylvian attack there for 7 with Master of Ethereum. Now they'll slide back. Hawkins will play another copy of Mox Opal, replacing the old one, which means he'll be able to activate Ink Moth and Blink Moth. We head back here over to Dariusz Szylman, who will draw. Again, Direfleet Daredevil, and it looks like a Phantasmal Image. Image will allow him to copy anything that's on the battlefield. Probably the best target is Mantis Rider.
Yeah, I don't know if it's going to be good enough to get over the finish line, but the line would appear is just hit in the air as hard as you can. Maybe if you can get some of these Ornithopters to chump block, you take some turns out of Hawkins' clock, and maybe the Daredevil can add 2 points of damage here or clear out a blocker at some pivotal point.
Ink Moth Nexus is going to go active. Blink Moth Nexus is going to go active. Eric will line up some blockers here.
A nice thing about playing against humans, if they don't have an Ether Vial, you can be pretty sure at least game one that nothing weird's going to happen inside of combat. The deck is basically just lands, vials, and creatures. So whatever you're seeing on the table as far as the blocks go is what's going to be going on.
It's about as straightforward as can be here. Double block on each Mantis Rider. Ornithopters are 1/3s, and Nexuses are both 2/2s. And we'll have the Phantasmal Image, which is a copy of Mantis Rider, coming on through. So we'll see a reorganization of blockers here, with the goal to take out each Nexus. Those Ornithopters look like they're still going to remain post-combat. And looks like Hawkins says, I'm ready to pass priority if you are.
Yeah, these blocks look, I'm sure these blocks look fine to Hawkins.
So both Mantis Riders will bite the dust, excuse me. And it doesn't look like Direfleet Daredevil is going to be able to get much done here. Might still be worth casting. 2/2 first strike in this battlefield isn't so bad.
Yeah, it's a blocker for the Mem Knight. And I guess if you're in Darius' position, you have to assume the top of your deck is going to do... Oh, he's got 3 mana. I mean, actually, this is fine.
Yeah, he can cast a Galvanic Blast. Hey, he'll just Galvanic Blast to finish off the Ornithopter.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. He's got the Mem Knight checked, and now Master of Ethereum is a 4/4. Could be a little bit better than a 4/4, depending on what Hawkins draws. Most draws in his deck, of course, will be artifacts. Some better than others. Plating probably the best of the bunch. Archbound Ravagers, no slouch.
Yeah, Ravager's not shabby here. Might force a bunch of, and you can see Hawkins moving some stuff around here. Might force a couple challenging blocks here from Darius' side.
Darius is at 5.
I mean, is this just lethal if you attack with everything?
He will not be at lethal. He can only make Ornithopter into a 4-power creature.
Right, assuming that Darius puts a block in front of the 2 creatures on the ground.
Correct.
And it's really risky to shove for non-lethal because of Reflector Mage and maybe other options as well.
So Master of Ethereum is going to come in here. That's the easiest attack. It's a lethal one. That thing now is a 5-5. Looks like the Ornithopter might be feeling it. Seems like a little bit of risky business.
Yeah, because any move that you make to, let's say, pump the Ornithopter up through the Arcbound Ravager draws from the same well as the Master of Ethereum. So if you attack with too much, it can get sort of awkward where Darius may put you in a spot where you're forced to choose between one or the other. This attack is much safer because you still force a chump block. It's lethal. And now you have all of your various resources available to block or mitigate a Reflector Mage off the top.
Didn't get a great look at Zalman's draw. Well, we know what it is now. It's Thalia's Lieutenant. Not shabby. Make these creatures a little bit bigger. Manta Strider going to come in for 4 in the air now.
So the question here, if you eat the Mox, I suppose if it's face up, this is it's easy for Hawkins to just attack back for lethal here. I was wondering if you could just swallow up the Mantis Rider on the attack with the Ornithopter and then crack back for lethal, but I think all these paths lead you to the same place.
With Zalman at 5, yeah, this should just be a win now. Especially with drawing Ink-Moth Nexus. One creature comes through, you just Ravager shove onto it.
Yep.
Like it's 2004.
Yeah, I think Hawkins could have done the same thing on the attack last turn, but you know, with Darius having no cards in hand, no reason to do anything weird.
Well, he ends up a point short last turn if Ornithopter gets through, because he sacks his 4 artifacts. He sacks his 3 artifacts, which are Master, Memnite, and the Mox. Ravager becomes a 4/4. Put the 4 counters onto the Ornithopter. There's no Master to pump the Ornithopter anymore.
And now Reflector Mage on the top might be really
well,
bad.
he puts him to 1, but he doesn't die. So that's all. So Hawkins wins game number 1 here over Darius. Zalman, Affinity up a game over Humans, and these players will sideboard. We'll watch them sideboard in just a moment. Be right back. We're back. Darius Zalman, Eric Hawkins, getting here for game number 2. It's Humans versus Affinity. Hawkins was able to win game number 1, so we turn our attention over to Zalman and his sideboard of 2 Auriok champions. 2 Kataki Wars Wage. I think those are coming in. 2 Reclamation Sage, 2 Graft Trigger's Cage, 2 Izzet Staticaster, 2 Zathru Necromancer, another copy of Direfleet Daredevil, a Mirren Crusader, and a Hostage Taker. Some good ones here.
Oh, lots of like here. Kataki's War Wage, Reclamation Sage, and Izzet Staticaster are all just excellent here.
Other side of things here for Eric Hawkins, currently up again 2 copies of Gear Power Aether Grid, 2 Spell Pierce, 2 Edge Champion, an Ancient Grudge of Dispatch, a Graft Trigger's Cage of Ceremonious Rejection, a Spell Skite, Relic of Progenitus, 1 Rule Flaw, 1 Thoughtseize, 1 Wear Tear.
I'll take the 2 copies of Edge Champion and the Dispatch. I think the creatures in this matchup typically get a little too large too soon for Aether Grid, but maybe an option for game 3 if we get there with Hawkins on the play.
And those are the options there for game number 2 for each player. They're taking a look at their opening hands. Both players 10-2, very much in top 8 contention here in Milwaukee. Our largest open ever here on the SCG Tour. Over 1,050 players here this weekend as Hawkins is going to take a mulligan. So, while he does that, I think now's a great time to talk about the StarCityGames.com weekly sale. Because, Patrick, if we don't sell things here, we can't do this. Did you know that?
I had a sense.
Did you know that?
No one's ever, explained to me exactly in those terms.
I've articulated it to you very clearly now.
Okay, so you can head over to go.StarCityGames.com/weekly sale. Check out the weekly sale, which, as denoted by its name, occurs every week. 11 o'clock in the morning Eastern Time, we update with a new sale. Right now, for a little bit longer, 50% up, up to 50% off, hundreds of non-English favorites.
It's a nice sale.
Yeah.
That's a Jerry T sale right there.
Oh, yeah.
Jerry T loves a non-English card.
Right. It's irritated me more as I am less, let's say, on top of what all the functionality of all the cards do. But it's fine. People like it. It's whatever. Looks cool. I was there once upon a time. I don't begrudge it. It's on me for, not knowing the cards as well. So there you go. 50% off. Go to SRCGames.com/weekly sale.
Hard sell. That's what that was. That was the hard sell.
The thing is, you don't have to hard sell because the weekly sale suggests that if you don't like what's there now, next week there'll be something different on sale.
You'll like it next week.
Yeah, at some point.
Or the week after.
Yeah. We're going to get your money at some point. It doesn't need to be whatever.
We play the long game.
Right.
It's not a rush. You know what's on the weekly sale? Go buy it. Go pre-order Karn Sign of Urza. I'm gonna pre-order some of those.
Not on sale.
No,
not on sale.
That is not. It's not gonna be on sale.
Yeah. That card is intense.
Kaito Freeboot are gonna take a Galvanic Blast. They are not messing around with Karn. There's Signal Pest. Pass. Hawkins draw a little slow. He does have 2 copies of that champion in hand, though. Very good in the matchup once it actually gets on the battlefield.
Dariusz here stuck on 2 mana, though.
That's a problem. Free Bucha. For 2. Exalted Trigger. Big follow-up. Oof. Never pretty. Phantasmal Imaging a Noble Hierarch. Never pretty. Got to do what you got to do, though. Over to Hawkins. Both players a little landlight. Eric does draw a copy of Inkmoth Nexus, however. Is it time for the first Edge Champion? It is. We'll pass turn back over to Darius Eilman. He'll untap those permanents. He'll draw a card. Thalia's Lieutenant. Maybe we go to Mantis Rider? Yes. Attack for 4. Actually, let's make it, this is 4. Would have preferred to just see Mantis Rider attack there, given the 2 Noble Hierarchs. It'd be an attack for 5.
Yep, that's math.
Freebooter would have been back on D as well. So missing out on a point of damage there, unfortunately, is Eilman.
Well, it also frees up the Signal Pest, potentially.
Yes.
Yep.
That's Champion to come across here for 2. The follow-up here for Hawkins. There's another copy of Edge Champion. Pass the turn back. Go back over to Szylman. Thais Lieutenant the draw. I think it's time for another Mantis Rider. Oh, yeah. Well, in for 7.
Yeah, the Edge champions are not bad against humans, but a lot of the spot where you lose the game is in the air, and they don't offer any sort of protection there.
Nope. This is part of the appeal of humans. They fly. Some of them do, at least.
Yeah, which is confusing because in real life they don't.
I took an airplane here.
Yeah, that's not the flavor of a lot of these designs. But anyhow, anyway.
How do you think I got here?
Via airplane.
There you go. Temporary flying. It's like casting jump.
Yeah, it's like activating a Goblin Balloon Brigade.
Yes, exactly. That's a magic card right there. I hope that's in Dominaria.
I would be surprised.
It's a great flavor.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Of course it's awesome. It's in alpha. It's like by definition a masterpiece.
Yes. Ahead of its time.
You gotta, like the pay the red mana gives it the sense of, right, exactly.
Pulling the handle on the air on the hot air balloon.
It doesn't require a lot of dressing. It doesn't.
No.
It doesn't have to be that complicated for it to be really sweet.
I'm not saying I'd be good at game design, but I'm not saying I'd be bad at it either.
Yeah.
If you let me design cards like Goblin Balloon Brigade,
right.
Don't put me on sets that matter.
If you start from the position of Goblin Balloon Brigade is sweet,
okay,
and having a whole bunch of cards that are randomly tapped colorless and involve moving cards from the exile zone into the graveyard for triggers is not sweet.
Yep.
You draw a lot of the right conclusions.
Got it. See, I would do things like Beast Balloon Brigade.
It's more art than science, but there are heuristics you can use to guide you down the right direction.
Like, do you think a Balloon Brigade cycle is not a good idea?
No.
I think it's a great idea.
Part of the charm with goblins is they're tiny. You can imagine an army of them in a hot air balloon.
Okay.
Dinosaur Balloon Brigade, less charming.
Okay. I got some work to do on the design portion of things.
It's an education process.
Here come beatdowns. Eric going to come in with 2 Etched Champions, Signal Pest, Battle Cry Trigger.
I'm just putting everything in front of the Signal Pest.
Well, he's just going to hound one of your guys then with that Ravager.
Okay.
You don't care?
Don't care. This is going to happen.
Sounds like you don't care.
I think the way that this game gets lost is you just take a hit here that's more than you need to, don't make any developments on the battlefield, and then somehow you get punked out by the ex-champions. You can't block the next turn. So just make Hawkins commit some sort of move here. I guess I would prefer just to double block. Just makes it. This lets him just eat if he wants to.
Okay. So Hawkins is going to move some counters over there. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Yep.
Is Hawkins a way to stay alive this turn?
He has a chump block with the Nexus.
Okay.
Yeah. He's got a shot. That was a really nice attack there.
Yeah?
This land does not bode well for Eric, however.
I would play a Thais Lieutenant. I would attack with a lot of my creatures.
Although this is still, one chump blocker still is fine here in theory. All right, this is too much.
I'll play another Thais Lieutenant. Attack with more of my creatures.
Yeah, if all Hawkins has is the one blocker, then that's too much.
All right, Dariusz Szylman's going to win game number 2 here over Eric Hawkins. Humans, Affinity, they're going to get ready for game number 3. When we come back from our break, we're probably going to sell something else to you guys at home. But first, our sponsors are going to sell you something. Humans, Affinity, one more time. Dariusz Szylman, Eric Hawkins getting right here for game number 3. Senator Phyllis Patrick Sullivan, we're in the booth at SCGTour, hashtag SCGMKE for your tweets all weekend long. Join the conversation, Patrick, on Twitter.
Go ahead.
Something I know you're a big fan of.
Yeah, just go ahead and just
hop on in.
Yeah, just give your thoughts to other people searching the hashtag about what's going on in the event, your record.
That's what you do.
How bad your opponent played last round.
You can find it all in there.
What commander foil led you to believe your opponent was cheating in the legacy side of whatever's going on. Just join that conversation.
That's what's in there.
There's a lot of people you know, talking to one another, engaged in one another's well-being. It's a conversation.
A chit chat.
Yeah, chit chat. Yeah.
Eric Hawkins is tweeting about his feature match. He's having a good time. Got a lot going on in that hashtag right now, folks. Both players taking a look at their opening hand. And Caleb Shearer, he's 10-2. He beat Ponza. That's a really good matchup for his deck. Yep. So that makes a lot of sense. It's a really good matchup. You're going to kill my land? Okay, you're dead now.
Right.
Now you're dead.
I think that land destruction deck is just very bad against rituals and remand. I mean, you have some draws where you're just on top of them on turn 2 on the play and then whatever, but
yeah.
If they're on the play and they play Baral and you have a Stone Raid in your hand, it's hard to feel that confident about where the game is going.
I wouldn't feel good. I wouldn't feel good at all. Eric going to go down to 6. I got paired against that deck. I actually got paired against Andrew Wolbers in Phoenix when I was playing Titan Shift. Nah.
Yeah, that matchup.
I did not get close to winning.
That matchup seems bad.
It's not good. He just kept killing my lands. I kept searching for them, and then he kept killing them. And then he turned the extra ones I had into mountains. It's really mean.
That's sweet.
No.
That's sweet.
Kind of reckless human. It's Andrew Wolbers.
You know what? Investment turned out to be pretty savvy. Not that I bought them as an investment as such, but the way that things broke out.
What's that?
Got a playset of Alpha Stone Rains a couple of years ago. Wow. That was really savvy. I'll tell you something. If you find a card in Alpha that's legal and modern that is liable to be involved in a briefly popular deck beloved by certain aggressive personalities, that's a really good. The next one up is Howling Mine. That's got to be the one where, if there's ever a good Howling Mine deck, and I wouldn't rule it out,
I'll probably want
people are going to be into it.
Yeah.
And the worst case scenario is what? I have a bunch of sweet Alpha Howling Mines. That's great.
How bad could that be?
Yeah. I'll just look at them.
You know where you can get those?
StarCityGames.com. Probably not on sale.
Nah. No.
I would suspect not.
Cranial plating for the first time all weekend. I was wondering if this card was in any affinity list anymore. Seriously, haven't seen one all weekend.
Cut them. Too much removal.
Yep. Vial up to 1. Hawkins on a mold of 6. His hand looks pretty good. There's Ancient Ziggurat. Szylman has a Meddling Mage in hand, Noble Hierarch that he can put through the vial. Looks like he's going to take 1 here. Play Champion of the Parish. The follow-up is Noble Hierarch, so I imagine he's got one to put through the vial as well. That's the turn back.
This race is just going to be way too slow from Darius' side unless he can interact in the air quickly or have something like Kataki or Reclamation Sage that taxes the cranial plating.
Ornithopter's going to wear a hat. Beatdowns. Not the biggest of beatdowns. Going to turn on the Nexus too. That's 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. Looks like an attack for 5. Down to 12 goes Szylman. Vial up to 2. Playing Ancient Ziggurat.
Looks like Szylman here with Reclamation Sage plus Phantasmal Image.
That's a lot.
That's a lot. That's a lot. Sort of a bummer in that Hawkins does not have a second card worth killing, but I think Darius will make it do regardless.
He can just be a little patient. Here's Reclamation Sage. I would target Cranial Plating.
I don't know. Darius might just go to work on the 2 creatures.
Yeah?
If Hawkins is tight on mana, you know, the safe bet is get rid of the cranial plating, but I think it's reasonable to consider just getting rid of both the creatures. Your clock is so fast, how is Hawkins racing you?
I'll tell you how he's racing you. Cranial Plating.
Down 2 artifacts and no mana? I don't know. Thinking about this, well, it depends what's going on with these champions.
Did he get his counters?
I don't believe so.
Rex Sage is an elf, not a. Rex Sage is an elf.
Oh,
not a,
okay.
Not a human.
Yeah,
not a
interesting.
Human. That's
then,
why people play 15 Renegades.
Right.
Yeah. What do we have here? Arcbound Ravager. Pass the turn back. Rex Sage is a little bit easier to cast than 15 Renegades.
Yeah, I thought if you're getting the triggers from the Champion of the Parish and the game is going to be played on a really tight timeline, I think that I would have just gone after the 2 creatures. If it's a little bit on the slower side, I think getting rid of the plating is a little bit safer.
Sure. There's another Noble Hierarch, trigger the champion. Here come beatdowns. Rex Sage, Phantasmal Image, which is a Reclamation Sage, and a 3/3 Champion. Arcbound Ravager can only turn into a 2/2. So not the best Arcbound Ravager we've ever seen. Hawkins' hand might be a little bit forced here, who knows? Looks like we'll see a Meddling Mage post-combat. Put another counter on the champion.
Interesting. In the dark here, I would probably name Whip Flare. I don't think it's in Hawkins' list. If he doesn't want to name Whip Flare, Galvanic Blast or Dispatch is probably where I would go.
Yep. Not a bad name. Back to Hawkins. He named Etch Champion.
I respect Etch Champion's a fine name too.
Fine name.
Yeah.
It's a card that can actually stabilize the battlefield right now if it shows up.
And with Hawkins stuck on 2 mana, it's reasonable that it would be in his hand also. So
here's Vault Scourge. I'm going to go back over to Zalman now. He'll draw a card in a moment. I think he's got another Rex Sage in hand, too. In which case, this game is going to be very hard for Eric Hawkins to win.
yeah.
He'll start by sacrificing a Rising Canopy. I think he may have drawn a Cavernous Souls.
Yeah, I guess there's a question here about whether or not you want to do it pre-combat to narrow down the range of blocks, or assume that he's going to do, Hawkins will block in such a way that doing it at instant speed is the better option.
Draw another card with Horizon Canopy. Some pretty good attacks here nonetheless.
Yeah, with having access to instant speed Reclamation Sage, it's really hard for combat to go wrong here. So just send this in and see how Hawkins responds. He might do some chumping and moving on to the Ravager in a trade, maybe with a Vault Scourge on a Reclamation Sage. You might end up just getting all of his creatures in combat this turn, and from there winning should be trivial.
Looks like Ornithopter's just going to jump in front of Champion of the Parish. Wow, Hawkins playing pretty conservative here. He's got big plans for that Vault Scourge, I imagine.
Well, with the Aether Vial on 3, I think it's just too hard. If you make any sort of move past that, a Reclamation Sage or a Reflector Mage, and you're just done.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I guess the question is, does he think he can beat any of that stuff anyway?
That's a good question. Maybe not, but.
Humans and Affinity going back and forth. Looks like Hawkins might be thinking about doing something here with Inkmoth Nexus. Not quite sure what. Eric could really use some more mana. Something like a Mox Opal would be great right now.
Yeah, been jammed up the whole game.
Mm-hmm. Affinity, a deck that doesn't need a ton of mana to work with, but in a sideboarding game like this, definitely needs more than 2. Erickson passes turn back.
Yeah, this might be a spot where it's, can I get you to trip up? Just hang back with all of your resources on defense and see if Dariusz will slip up here.
Well, there's another reclamation stage. Going to target Vault Skirts, and that's going to do it. Dariusz Alvin's going to win this match over Eric Hawkins, 2-1. Humans going to take care of Affinity. Some timely